Close your eyes, just for a second. I want you to remember the sound of a house before the internet. Not the silence of a phone on Do Not Disturb, but a deep, heavy, analog silence. It was the sound of a ticking clock in the hallway, the hum of a heavy refrigerator, the physical weight of a paper book. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you are the last humans on this planet who know what true privacy feels like. You are the Xennials, the ghosts in the machine. We've been called a microgeneration, but that's too clinical. We are the borderline generation. We are the only people in history who graduated high school with a paper map and started a career with an algorithm. But there is a psychological cost to being the bridge. Today, we're looking at why your brain is wired differently and why you are the most resilient yet profoundly exhausted people alive. Think about your childhood. It wasn't just simpler, it was private. Your mistakes didn't live on a server, they died on the playground. If you fell off your bike or said something stupid at a party, it didn't follow you for 20 years, it just became a story. Psychologically, this created what we call the safety of failure. You learned to solve problems without a how-to video. You had to negotiate with a friend's terrifying dad on a landline just to see if your friend was home. That took guts. That built a social EQ that is becoming extinct. You were raised in a world of tactile reality, the clunk of a VHS tape, the smell of a library card, the feeling of waiting by the radio for 3 hours just to record one song on a cassette tape. You learned the muscle of anticipation. You knew that good things took time, but then, right as you were becoming adults, the great switch happened. The world stopped being made of atoms and started being made of bits. Here is the science of your exhaustion. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that defines your personality, doesn't finish its final wiring until you're 25. For you, that window coincided perfectly with the birth of the digital world. You were young enough that technology felt natural, but old enough to remember the before times. Research shows this created a hybrid neural pathway. You have the focus of an analog brain, but the adaptability of a digital one. But this is the neuro glitch. You're the only ones who know what peace actually feels like, which is why the modern noise feels twice as loud as it does to anyone else. When you feel that sudden, violent urge to delete every app and move to the woods, that isn't a midlife crisis. That is your analog brain screaming for the silence it was promised in 1988. You are digitally bilingual, but you're constantly translating a world that doesn't want to be understood. And then came the trauma. Just as you were stepping into the light, the floor fell out. 2008 wasn't just a recession for you, it was a psychological hijacking. While Gen X was already established and millennials were still in school, you were the launch generation. You were the ones who followed the rules. You got the degrees. You did the internships. And then the world stopped. This created a scarcity mindset that many of you still carry like a ghost. It's why you're the hardest workers in the room, but also the most prone to burnout. You're terrified that if you stop for 1 second, it'll all fall apart again. You were the first generation to be told you could have it all, and then the first to be shown how easily it could all be taken away. In the modern office, you are the middle child. You're the one who has to explain to the boomer boss that the cloud isn't a physical cloud, and then you have to explain to the Gen Z intern why they can't send a crying laughing emoji to a client whose company just went under. You are the translators of humanity. You understand the value of a handshake and the efficiency of a Slack channel, but being the bridge is exhausting. Who translates for you? You're mourning a world that everyone else has already forgotten. You remember when being home meant you were unreachable. You remember the peace of a long car ride without a GPS. You are living in a permanent state of digital jet lag. So, where does this leave you?
As we enter the era of AI, where nothing is real and everything is synthesized, you are the gold standard. You are the last generation that knows how to survive without a signal. You are the keepers of the human experience. When the world gets too fast, when the machines start to hallucinate, the world is going to look to you, because you remember how to be human when the power goes out. You aren't lost between generations. You are the anchor. You are the only ones who can lead us into the future without forgetting the soul of the past. If you feel this in your chest right now, if you feel that hum of recognition, it's because you know it's true. You aren't a ghost in the machine. You are the machine's heartbeat. Don't let it stop. You were born for this transition. Now go lead it.
So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment below with just the year you were born. Let's see how many Xennials found this video. And if someone in your life is always saying, wait, am I a millennial or Gen X? Share this with them. They've been waiting for this answer their whole life. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of your personality, not just your generation, subscribe to Mindle.